first time I saw or heard about someone using tobacco was probably when I was 4 years old. Then I was in school, and before I didn't know what it was, but I had heard some kids talking about it. And later that day, I had went and asked my mom what it was.
My first experience with tobacco was my dad using it when I was a kid. And the only reason he had stopped was because I got diagnosed with children's asthma. And so he had stopped after that. So I think I maybe was like 6 or 7 when he stopped, but he had been smoking up to that point.
Both my parents smoked. And friends gone, and that's like back in the 60s. So that's when I first seen everybody smoke. And actually, they lit their cigarette there. I'll see what this is about. I'll go over there, I'm smoking, But never really got into it too much smoking until my 20s. But everybody smoked when I was growing up.
Traditional tobacco is the one that is used for healing, medicines, gifts, prayers. But commercial tobacco is the one used in a harmful way.
The differences between both of those would be, one, commercial tobacco has so many additional additives to the point where it's like basically not like traditional tobacco anymore. And because of the way it's processed and the way it's like, injected into the cigarettes and things like that, even with vapes, like it is so far removed from the traditional purposes of it that it's lost its like the traditional version of it. And with traditional tobacco, it is used more so in ceremonies, the way that like cigarettes or vapes aren't typically used.
We call it connection that tend to put it in the pipes and pray with hell. Sometimes while we're in the sweat lodge or if we're just sitting out there and have a pipe ceremony or something. But I don't think they never put no like real tobacco in there. They'll use traditional tobacco. That's different than the store-bought or kind of come in a can or anything like that. And so, but at traditional, I think it is. I see the big strands too of tobacco. I never use that. You can see it, but and there is a difference between one who smoked in the pipe and the one that just people regularly smoked. They'll use it they'll use this one and that I know, but they use the traditional tobacco. Right. And that was the name of it, was connectioning.
I have seen tobacco being used in a cultural or spiritual way. I was at an event and it was displayed, and while it was displayed, I could see what it actually looked like. What I noticed about what it looked like was it didn't look like any cigarette at all. It seemed like a plant, like natural. There is nothing fake about it, artificial.
The way that traditional tobacco is used in my family is kind of non-existent, just because a lot of the elders in my family grew up smoking, and we've been so far removed, because of colonization from the original purposes of tobacco. We don't really use them in a sacred way or anything like that anymore. But what I do for myself is I use it if like during prayer, and if I'm trying to like honor loved ones that have passed. I use it in my own private ceremonies that way. But as far as my family, they don't really use it in any of our like family like events or anything like that anymore.
Yeah. They would load the pipe, smoke, pray, and they teach you how to hold it. You know, you hold it on the left side for your hour. You're praying with it. Smoke. Take your prayers in there. But you have to learn to respect the pipe first. Pretty strict on that. And not everybody gets to smoke. You have to, or we had to learn how to even hold it. Or don't abuse it. It's like you have to really take care of the pipe.
There have been many people around me affected by smoking. It's either they become sick, some of my family has passed away, friends too, and it's just become really harmful. And I've noticed the changes in not just friends but family too whenever they use it.
The way that commercial tobacco's affected me I had developed childhood asthma, and so I dealt with that all through adolescence, and so luckily I don't deal with it anymore. But I think that's only has to do with the fact that I'm not really around people that smoke that frequently, but I feel like it has only affected my loved ones that still smoke or vape in a negative way, because it's such a hindrance on their everyday activities. A lot of their activities center around, okay, when am I to be able to have a cigarette, or when am I going to have a moment to hit my vape, and if it interferes with your day-to-day activities. They really kind of rotate around when can I smoke, basically, which is it's such a hindrance in your life, because it's planning around when you're able to smoke the entire time. I feel like the health effects that it has are just so bad. I've had family members, because of how long they had smoked, have really bad gum disease. Prolonged effects on the health are so negative, and even for me, when I go to the doctor, I have to put that my family has a history of using tobacco, right? So that is already going to make me predisposed to things that I'm not even really aware of. I've had family members that have had heart disease. They're adults having to do breathing treatments for asthma. And just issues like that. I can't really think of anything good that has come out of having a history of tobacco use.
I see an old lady down at Sleeves apartments further down for you. She smoked 4 packs a day, and she's 65. But I thought she was 80. I thought she was 80 years old. And cigarettes probably do that. Yeah, it's a effect on your health. Yeah, all her teeth are all tobacco stained, and you in her mouth, her fingers. And, she's been smoked since she was a kid. She said she probably die if she don't smoke. Vapes. I just heard you're no good. They cause popcorn lung or something like that. I don't know, it's worse than cigarettes. Not smoke, just vape, steam. I don't know. The chemicals in there. Or got a piece of them, and I've got metallic things in there.
Why I think people my age are curious or start using tobacco products is because It's everywhere. There are many places where you can see it or hear about it, and so they may become curious, or also peers or family members. But another reason that they could be using it is to help cope with other things that they may have going on.
I think what it contributes to smoking when you like, because we all know how negative it is for your health, but I know for like my family, both of my sisters smoke. I'm the only one that doesn't. And we just grew up in that environment where it was such a casual thing. If we were having like a family get together, our family would be smoking, and it's super just normalized to smoke. And for myself, I smoked during high school, for a few years, but that it's because of, the way I grew up. My friends were all smoking cigarettes. Even though we knew the health complications, I feel like it's a sense of, I don't like that's never going to happen to me. And so we don't think about those things, especially as adolescents, until they actually do occur. And it's also, I know from having worked in addiction, it becomes like the last crutch that you possibly have. Like for people that are like, sober, right? They don't drink, they don't do drugs. It's the last thing that they have to kind of help manage the anxieties that come with being sober. And it's really normal in the recovery community to just smoke. It's just very, very normalized. Even if it's negative, like the negative outcomes, it's still very normalized. And then last thing, I feel like when you are trying to quit tobacco, it's very like, that it's going to be hard. Like people talk about how hard it is to quit smoking all the time. And so I feel like maybe people may use that as an excuse to not get off because it's going to be too hard anyways. And all like the depression and anxiety that comes with having to quit tobacco, I feel like that may be a pretty big contributing factor as to why it's, people still continue to smoke even though we know it's bad for you.
Relaxation, you get a little buzz from the cigarette wood, make you lightheaded. Some people they just like that, I know it's different. There is the difference. Remember one time we didn't sweat, we were in the sweat lodge and they didn't have the pipe enough, so they actually smoked a cigarette in there, passed it around, use that tobacco. That's the first time I ever seen that. I never seen it after that. But or when we go out, people will smoke. But they were smoking like regular tobacco. You usually get that blue can, Bueller tobacco, and they'd have a can of that there. And that's if you wanted to roll, pray with that, smoke. Mm-hmm. They say tobacco ain't bad for you for using it in, ceremony.
Last thing when it comes to traditional tobacco is if we can educate the younger generations on where tobacco actually came from and how it's been so far evolved from its original intentions, that may be the best way that we can get tobacco back to how it was originally used and not, extorted with, big tobacco and different organizations like that. I think if we give kids the power to understand that this isn't what traditionally it was used for, then they can kind of help spread the word to their friends and their families that we shouldn't be using tobacco in this way.